Your opponent brings out his queen in the opening, and you start feeling a little nervous. You are not expecting it, so you don't know how to react. And it happens with you. So don't worry, guys, I am here to help. In this video, I will give you 5 useful tips by step method to not only counter but also punish any type of early queen attack. Starting our game with e4. E5 is one of the most common played move in the chess history. Queen to x5 is one of the earliest queen attacks. Playing g6 is a blunder because it may help in removing the queen, but think about queen cross e5 check, as it would be giving not only the check but also it will be taking the rook. Coming back to our position, here you can see our pawn at e5 is under attack. So for protecting it, the best way is knight to c6. Here white plays bishop c4 for doing scholar's mate. And many of you play like a bullet player, so you commit the mistake by playing knight f6. And here finally comes the checkmate. You must stay alert to stay alive. Coming back to our position, we played knight to c6 for protecting our pawn at e5. Now, white takes up an opportunity by playing bishop to b5 for eliminating the knight at c6 and quickly grabbing the pawn at e5. Here, don't worry, we can play knight to f6 and it attacks the queen. Here, queen comes to f5. Now, we can play g6 for attacking the queen and pushing the queen. Now the queen finally comes to f3 and here comes the triple attack by playing knight to d4. Now accidentally if queen moves to e3, so play knight cross c2 check, and after king comes to e2 we can quickly grab the opponent's queen. Coming back to the position, again you can see the triple attack. Now after queen moves to d3 for protecting the pawn at c2, here we can play c6 for pushing the bishop back. Now, after d5, now look at the development of your game, how much your pieces have been developed, and it also increases the chances of winning. Coming back to our position, here we played knight to c6 for protecting our pawn at e5. Now, bishop moves to c4. You can see here's a scholar's mate. So for avoiding it, you can play g6 for threatening the queen. Here the queen moves to f3 for again attacking the pawn at f7 and doing checkmate. Again you can simply protect the checkmate by moving knight to f6. Now let's say that white is bored of moving his queen and he tries to further develop his pieces. So for that he moves the knight to e2. Here we play bishop to g7 for normal development of pieces. Now after d3 we can do castling for king safety and then bishop g5. It is played for pinning the knight, and then don't worry, in such cases you can play x6 and push the bishop back. Play g5 for attacking the bishop and pushing it back. In such cases, if the bishop moves to g3, you can play d5 for attacking another bishop. And you have also activated the bishop at c8. Now look at the development of your game. You can see almost all of your pieces have been activated. You are also attacking the pawn at c2 and you are also ready for the attack. Coming back to our position, here we played knight to f6 for protecting the checkmate, and white moved his queen to b3 for killing the pawn at f7 and to give a check. Think what you can do. Don't worry. Here we can play knight to d4 for attacking the queen. You can know why. Here again there's a queen attack, and you can see now the queen has no option of going to any of the diagonals of white bishop for protecting the bishop. So after queen b4 check, black takes bishop at f7. And coming back to our position, again we can see the checkmate. So for avoiding it, we played knight to f6. Now, after white plays g4, his main objective is to push the pawn to g5 and to attack our knight. So, don't worry, in such cases also there is a solution. The solution is to play knight to d4 and the queen moves to d1. After we place d5, you can see that opponent's bishop is under attack, and we also activate our bishop at c8. Now, after bishop attacks the queen, there are two ways for protecting it, one by knight and one by pawn. Here we will be seeing about knight. After the player moves knight e2, you can play knight f3 check, in which the king only has the option to move to f1 and later bishop x3 mate. Coming back to our position, here you can play a brilliant move that is knight to e4, which is one of the brilliant moves. And if white takes knight, then you may win the opponent's queen. Or if it takes the bishop, then here comes the smarter mate, that is queen to x4 check, king x1, and then queen f2 mate. Till the time, please join my Lichess team for exciting tournaments every week. Link in the comment section. Now, as I told you 5 useful tips to punish early queen attack. So let's get a quick revision to check whether you all can apply it or not. Starting the game with e4, e5. Now, queen f3. You all can understand the basic concept that white would be trying to move bishop to c4 and then to target the pawn at f7, leading to a beautiful checkmate. So for avoiding it, we can play knight to f6. Here white plays d3. Now the main concept would be playing the bishop to g5 and then to pin the knight. So don't worry. In such cases, we should never be scared. Just start developing your pieces. Here we play bishop to c5. Now, after queen moves to g3 for killing the pawns, there are two hanging pawns, also known as weak pawns. So, as we know that pawn at e5 is a centralized pawn. Here we played knight to c6 for protecting the centralized pawn. Now, after white captures the pawn, we can play rook to g8 for attacking the queen. Now you can see that queen has only one option to move to x6. After queen moves to x6, can you find out the brilliant move? Correct. Bishop cross f2 check is the brilliant move. As you can check, after king takes it, we can play knight g4 check. Now it is a biggest trap. You can also win the opponent's queen. Coming back to the position, if doesn't takes the bishop and moves to d1, we can play rook to g6 for further attacking the queen. And after queen moves to d2 for attacking the bishop. So for this, we must play knight to g4 for protecting the bishop. Here white plays x3. Now look at the development of the pieces. All the pieces are hanging there and aren't ready for the attack. After white plays x3 for attacking the knight, we must play knight to e3 check, in which the king has only option to king e2. After king moves to e2, can you find the beautiful move? Yes, you are right. Knight to d4 check. Here, white is forced to take the bishop, and there comes the checkmate, that is queen to x4 check, king cross e3, and then queen to f4 mate. Coming back to our position, if white don't move to king e2, and except for that, if it takes the knight, you can win the free queen. And now look at the development of white pieces. All the pieces are hanging there, and you can easily win the game. Okay, so let's begin up with another example. Here we begin with white pieces. E4, E5. Now we have two options to develop our knight or the bishop. So let's begin with developing the knight. Now here black plays the bad move, that is queen to f6. Don't worry, don't be scared. Just play normal. Here we begin with knight c3. The main idea is to move to d5 and to create a fork. So for avoiding it, black played c6. Many of you would be thinking for playing bishop to c4, but there is more better move, that is d4. As we are controlling over the center, we are also developing the bishop for further attack. And now black don't want to exchange it, but just play d6. So we can develop our bishop, and it creates an attack over the queen. So the queen goes to e6. Now we can exchange the pawns. The main idea is if it takes, then there is a checkmate. But if it doesn't take and moves x6 for removing the bishop, again our bishop is under danger. So we must move the bishop back. Now in this position, if black played bishop to d6 for making attack over the knight, don't worry, just see what you can do. Yes, you are right. Bishop to c4 is a brilliant move, as you can actually you can attack the queen, and you can also attack our the f7 pawn. So after queen comes to f6, let's create an attack. Now king moves to f8, and there comes a brilliant fork, that is taking the rook. Now look at your position. All the pieces have been activated. You can do castling for king safety. You can even activate the queen and for further attack. Now look at the development of black pieces. All the pieces are hanging. Only these two pieces are activated, and you can create further attack as well. Thanks for watching.